everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous weekend. I'm so glad you're joining me, if I can talk. Today we're making a 5 easy step card, and it's going to be a birthday card, and we're using some items from Simon Says Stamp. I just pulled through my stash, and I thought we would make a feminine birthday card for today. We're using the Fantasy Bouquet. This has been around for a while. We're going to be using the Birthday Palooza stamp set for my greeting. For my background, we're going to be using an embossing folder. This is the Birthday Sentiments embossing folder. And then for my home panel, we're going to be using some rounded heart dies. Let's jump into step number 1 and create our focal point. This die set here, again, is the Fantasy Bouquet. It has 2 dies. This is not one piece. There's actually 4 elements to this. The leaves are separate than the blooms, with the exception of the stems on the blooms, and then you have a layering piece. So I'll die cut out this with some white cardstock. I think sometimes my outfits influence the color of my card making project. So this weekend I'm wearing purple, and we're going to make a purple birthday card. So I'm bringing in my shader brushes and grabbing my purple one. I actually have 2 purples that we're going to be, I have a light and a dark. This is Simon Says Stamp's Lilac, and I'm going to darken up the edges with Amethyst. So let's, now for the blooms here, I don't want the stems to be purple. So I'm going to use some low tack adhesive. I'm just going to use my tape here, and I'm going to do a little masking. And then this way I know I won't add ink, especially purple, to those stems. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of color, and I like to go from the base and kind of fade up. And we'll do the flower buds, and then I'll bring in another piece of tape, or you could use the same one, but I'm going to mask off this side too. And then we'll just color these. I could probably zoom in a little bit more. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. Pick up a little bit of ink and add a little color to the layering portion. Really, that's all there is to that. It's pretty quick and easy with these blooms. And then the hardest part was just masking them off. Now I'm going to take my darker purple, which is Amethyst. You can see the color difference. And I'm going to fade up here. This is going to be covered, but the edges aren't. And then I'll add a little shading to one side of those flower beds. Same with the bottom of this. There we go. And then we'll just add a little darker color here. And kind of fade up a little bit along with this little flower bed. And my purple inks are done. Now we're going to do our leaves. The leaves I'm going to start with Fairway, and then I'm going to finish off with Surf. I'm going to bring in a little bit of teal. So let me pick this up really quickly. Carefully remove that masking paper. We're going to start off with Fairway. Add a little bit of green. I left some white areas. I did that on purpose because that way we can switch out the green for the teal. And that teal will kind of pop. Now that's going to be my focal point. I'm going to go ahead and layer the layerable piece right over these blooms. To do that, I'm going to bring in a small foam square, add another one, and then we'll layer this one right over here. And now we have some blooms with some dimension, and I just think they are beautiful. I'm going to clean off my work surface, and then we're going to move along to step number 2 and die cut out our home panel. Now for my home panel, I'm going to use the second from the largest, but since I'm die cutting, I'm also going to die cut out one size up. Okay, so the second and the third largest from this die set. I'll die cut this out and I'll be right back. So they're both die cut. This one goes to the side. That's for our next step. This is all we're going to do for our home panel. A cute little heart. Before we move on to our next step, we're going to go ahead and layer our flowers on here. I'm going to grab some glue, and we're just going to glue these down on that heart. I don't mind these overhanging, but this end piece I'm going to trim off with my scissors, like so. Okay, and then our home panel and our focal point are all done. Now we're going to move on to step number 3 and create our sentiment. This is where this heart's going to come in. I'm going to bring in our birthday Palooza. I think that's a fun name for a stamp set. And I was looking at the greeting that said, birthdays look good on you. Okay, for this I'm bringing in my stamping positioner, and I'm going to add some adhesive behind my heart, just because my grip mat needs to be washed. And then I'm going to use birthdays first. We're going to add this here. And then we're going to go ahead and add the second part of our sentence. Looks good on you. I love that. Give this a little press. Wonderful. And that will be my greeting. Let's go ahead and move along to step number 4 and create our background. For my background, we're going to bring in an embossing folder. I'm going to emboss with some white cardstock. This is the birthday sentiments. So that's part of my background. I'm also bringing in an A2 panel of Spellbinders waterfall cardstock. What I want to do is layer my blooms. Let's add some adhesive behind here. Okay, I'm going to layer my flower heart here. And then I did pop up my greeting with foam tape. We're going to overlap this one here. Okay, now I don't want to, I'm going to chop off this and this, but I don't want to chop off my flower. So we're going to do a little flower surgery. I'm going to carefully lift this up. I'm going to cut off that bloom. And then I'm going to trim here. We'll flip it over and I'll trim here. Okay, and then I'm going to put the bloom back. So we did a little bloom surgery. Okay. Now I don't want the blue up here. So what I'm going to do is take my scissors and go behind it like this. Back looks like, that's actually a pretty nice little wave. I couldn't do that again, I promise. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to fill this with some foam tape. And then we're going to place this at the very bottom. And I'm loving the way this turns out. I think it turned out soft and pretty. Let's move along to step number 5, which means it's time to embellish. And I went through my jewels. These are from Pinkfresh Studio. These are called Sky Blue. I'm going to add a few of these in my background. And that will finish off my card today. A fun feminine birthday card, lots of texture and dimension. I hope you enjoyed my project. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.